So, obviously, people don't like Xiaoji and Honkai Star Rail because he has long, drawn-out forms of writing in Honkai Star Rail. Now, I know a lot of people are going to see that Nasu is taking over for the Fate Stay Night collab in Honkai Star Rail. There are a lot of people who have criticisms on Nasu's form of story writing because it is also long and drawn-out lore expositions. So, that is why I am worried about, even if Xiaoji gets replaced, who is he getting replaced with? And for a community that's tired of long, drawn-out quests, why are we going to the guy who does long, drawn-out forms of storytelling? And this isn't my word for it. I mean, there's many videos on this. There's the biggest criticisms on Nasu's writing, which is right here, which is pretty much a universally approved video criticizing the way that he writes, as well as this right here for biggest criticism of Nasu's writing, which was deleted because I guess Fate Stay Night read as a fucking echo chamber. And then this is also Nasu's form of story writing, where this is everything that he's gonna need to say in the upcoming works, which is, if you're ready for a yap fest, very pog. For players like myself, I am very worried about how it's going to go. However, I will be not playing, but reacting to the story at least, or at least being open to what people are saying about it. And if it's good, I'll give it a shot, and I'll give it an honest review.
Don't understand why a creator would make their product worse on purpose, like when it's not required, leading their product down to a path of irrelevance in the long run. What's up? I'm Zuri. I'm an artist and a writer. I've been playing Honkai Star Rail since release, only having stopped playing a few months ago, and I'm pissed off. I may have been organized with this introduction, but I will absolutely rip this game to shreds if I must.
Please do.
I loved keyword ED, loved this game, but I cannot stand its storytelling anymore. Not just its storytelling, but its gameplay. Comment. I want to know what you think of Honkai Star Rail now. Love it, hate it. Well, I hate it now, but give me a minute to explain why. Also, like the video if you...
I think it's very obnoxious that when you become a functioning adult and you realize that your time is valuable and you're seeing these stories be told in 8, 9, 10, 12, 21 hour time span that could have been told in an hour and had the exact same impact, I think you become violently aware of how much of a waste of time that these games are designed to be. And it's a shame because that's not all gacha games. I mean, I'm very happy with at least Wuthering Waves, where you get a whole story in about 2.5 hours. Now, I still believe, get this, guys, I still believe that Wuthering Waves has a little bit of a yap issue as well. I think it could be even shorter. However, in comparison, it looks good. However, if you compare all these gacha games right into like a real game, like Clair Obscur, I think you'll realize that there is a very difficult issue that these gacha games are having, which is, how do I say this? Properly explaining or properly describing or properly taking their audience on an adventure or a story that is adequately timed. Yeah, it's running rampant in the gacha space, and it is truly a shame. Now, I would like to say there are some exceptions to this. Like, I think Wizardry tells story quite good. I think Limbus Company tells a story quite good. I mean, it would be nicer if it was voiced in English. And, you know, like, once again, the story of Limbus is very good. However, the storytelling is a little bit dry. It's just 2D PNGs. But the Yap Fest is fine if it's told properly. You don't need to have these sections where it's like, we need to explain all of this in this fucking period right now. Like, break it up. Like, break it up. That when you're in a story and you think, I just have to get through this part to get to the good, like you're being tortured, it's embarrassing. Oh, or same thing with Nikkei. Nikkei still tells its story quite well.
If you want to hear more, I post weekly videos about art and gacha mostly, but this video will be my critique on the story, but also how the gameplay and new characters impact the story. I'm going to be doing this in a little bit of a timeline format, so it's easier to consume.
Sorry, if you're seeing that I'm being very careful with my words right now, it's because I made a comment that some stupid motherfuckers in my chat decided to take the worst way possible. So for all of the dum-dums, I'm going to have to speak very specifically, very concisely. Otherwise, they'll find the impossible scenario to take offense to a comment that had no offense to begin with. So I'm being very careful with my words right now. That's why I'm pondering so much.
I might miss some things and leave stuff out of the picture, but I'm going to sum up my main ideas, my main ideas. If I mention something, I might not bring it up again, but it may still be an issue. So just bear with me. Starting from the beginning, 1.0 release, skipping the tutorial phase, which I think was interesting.
Was ZZZ good? ZZZ has a lot of hits, but it also has a lot of misses. I think their Astra Evelyn story was dog shit. But I think the 1.4 story was great. The whole Avenger story was great. So it really just depends. But I feel like ZZ hits more than it misses, which is nice. But we'll see if it can remain with that level of consistency because I'm seeing some worrisome things popping up, but not too much for me to genuinely worry about the game. I think ZZ is probably the best Hoyo game right now for sure.
Interesting and adequately introduced important concepts, but yeah, we're keeping.
But the UI is fucking terrible.
We're keeping the first part of 1.0 out. But I personally think Belobog's story, which is the second half of 1.0, was paced really well and stayed engaging throughout. While it didn't explore any bold or standout concepts, it felt like a safe story in a good way. It was simple, understandable, and effective, which is exactly how I think all stories should start. Despite its simplicity, it was still vibrant and interesting. The characters were well developed, their archetypes were represented perfectly, and the dialogue was tight and purposeful, not overly long and sluggish like what you sometimes see in Genshin Impact. Then, with the Xianzhou Luofu, many people, when the game first released, were disappointed at the lack of content that the Xianzhou offered, and all I gotta say is, you contributed to this future. Partially. These content creators and hardcore players will always be the loudest voices within the community because they're always interacting with it. The casual or free-to-play players will just play the game like any other mobile gamer and finish the stories when they have time. But for these hardcore players and content creators, they finish the media within 3 days or essentially the fastest they can because they don't want to get behind on content. This would lead the game to take the criticism that they weren't putting enough content in the game, leading to a shitty solution, which I will address in a minute. I personally enjoyed the Xianzhou story.
I think if you're blaming content creators for the dialogue bloat, I think you're an imbecile. Like, straight up. Like, that's just a psychotic fucking take, man.
Although there was much to explore, so many plot threads that need to be tied, I believe that they would be addressed considering we had reoccurring characters like Dan Heng, who would always be integrated with the past no matter what, is what I thought. This story overall was not taxing to play. It was fun to watch people's reactions, and the quest never felt too long to get its point through. But then, 2.0. It all starts with one name. Xiaozhi.
Yep.
Xiaozhi Laoshi, roast chicken teacher. This is a message to you. You, who ruined Honkai Star Rail. This was the shitty solution I'm talking about. And the community ate this shit up. Oh my god, he directed Honkai Impact Legend Realm story, which means it must be good.
Yep.
You have never touched that game in your life.
True.
And people agree that his form of storytelling is just not it. But regardless, I'd like to keep this on a timeline, so yeah, Xiao Zhilao should join the team. I want you to guess how long the 1.2 and 1.4 quest is versus the 2.0 quest. I'm skipping 1.0 because it includes all the tutorial features and blah 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 blah, but believe it or not, that story quest is still shorter than 2.0, despite it having 2 complete arcs in it. 1.2 and 1.4 took 2 to 3 hours to complete each. 2.0, with our narrative director, Xiao Zhilao, was 7 to 8 hours. What fraction of a story needs 7 hours of my life to complete? None.
There's no way a gacha story needs longer than Lord of the Rings Fellowship and Two Towers. There's just no way. There's just no way. There's absolutely no way.
None. Deltarune doesn't.
Guys, I want to remind you, in 8 hours, you can watch all of Freerun. And I promise you, Penacony 2.0, the story was not that complex at all. The only reason why I was able to enjoy Penacony is because I was so gassed up by exploring the new world, and my chat was so excited that somehow I got through it without crashing the fuck out.
The game currently with, I think, 2 chapters takes 6 hours to complete.
I'm going to give a hot take. I think that if a gacha story takes longer than 2 hours to tell, I just think it's bad. Straight up. There's no way that you need more than 2 hours. There's just simply no way.
The whole thing, the entire Undertale game takes 6 to 10 hours depending on which route you take.
Yep.
You're telling me that 1/3 of the full Penacony main story takes 7 hours to complete. You're out of your goddamn mind.
Yep.
You're out of your goddamn mind. But okay,
True.
I'll give it benefit of the doubt. Long doesn't necessarily mean bad in many cases. You could have many different plots addressed and it all be comfortable to consume.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of it. So for example, Claire Expedition, or Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Act 1 took me 8 hours. It was 8 hours of pure peak from start to finish. There was only 15 minutes of that 8 hours where I was like, kind of bored. And that's because I got lost because I was stupid. But dragging these scenarios out where you just watch 2 characters statically move from idle pose 1 to idle pose 2 to idle pose 3, it's torture, guys. It's fucking torture. Or another great example, Limbus Company, Kanto 3. It was great from start to finish. And that took me 8.5 hours. It was amazing. And that was just static NPCs. Because it was just a good fucking story. And maybe I was bored for maybe 30 minutes of that. It's good.
After all, many people did want more story and, they just made the dialogue walls of text and inhuman. I will say, I enjoyed Penacony's main story. However, everybody needs to admit that at some point this trash was too long. Do I think Hoyoverse will listen? Maybe. Because goddamn, the game was so good a year ago, but now... I personally think that the best scenes were hands down any moments with Dr. Ratio, Aventurine, Sunday, and Robin.
True.
Dr. Ratio and Aventurine were so liked because their dialogue didn't sound retardedly long or inhuman.
True.
Because the...
I like this chick. She's very angry. I'm going to subscribe, even though I think that her take on content creators was brain dead.
Bulk of their conversations were...
Maybe she'll explain better what she means.
Snappy banter, and within those conversations, we naturally learned about the characters, their relations, their fears, and their desires. Sunday and Robin, yes, I will say that a lot of the text was too fucking long when we went those flashbacks, but if there was any character that I feel would talk inhumanly about philosophy like they'd be having everybody and their mama do in this game, it would be Sunday and Robin. These two represent the main themes, even though you may not have known because the game is terrible at telling its own story. Sunday, representing Enna of the Order, and Robin, representing Shippe of the Harmony. These are important in-game religions that give the characters powers. Robin, notably, was quieter and mostly let Sunday speak in the assumption that they were on the same page at the beginning. Like, they both followed the Harmony. I like that about them as well, the betrayal aspect of the relationship. Sunday, who once was supposed to represent Harmony, falling into a religion that he got groomed into from childhood. Now, I'll put a character on the screen for you. Who do you think this is? I'll give you a minute.
Their dad.
Surely, this character is not the catalyst for Sunday's actions. And he definitely did not groom that little boy. Well, he did. Religiously. Don't get any ideas, okay? This is Gopher Wood, or the Dream Master. One of the many names thrown around that people mixed up for other non-visually represented characters, such as the Watchmaker, the Dream Chasers, or Oak Family Administrators. Gopher Wood, in the story, could have been visually shown. Should have been visually shown. He spoke with Sunday before the Harmony Festival, which is an insanely important plot point where Sunday questions the Order, the religion he got groomed into, indicating his independence and chance for change. Now, I only found this out because of my present research, but like, what the hell? So much confusion could have been dispelled if Gopher Wood was given a physical form in the dream, or if some events were visually shown, such as the rebels within Penacony causing real deaths from arson, including Gopher Wood's death, leaving his consciousness in the dream. Choji wouldn't do that. He'd rather fill the story with useless dialogue. For the man, Gopher Wood, who raised one of our main antagonists to become the man he is today at the climax of the story, it's damn well interesting that the game was so lazy they wouldn't even make him a model. And I'm pretty sure this is the only official art of this guy. I'm mostly complaining because it's lost potential to an insane degree. You can have all that writing, 24 plus hours of straight up story, and still not see some main and important characters even uniquely represented in the case that he really needs to be seen. Maybe even in some sort of memory or something, at least a PNG, not just like a little item you get. Dude looks so cool and you do nothing with the design. Then, continuing from the issues with Sunday and Gopher Wood in the Penacony main story, I want to move on to Misha and Gallagher. Then after that, the epilogue chapter, which shares the same issue. The lack of stakes and the bad payoff. At the end of whatever quest it was where we were looking for the Watchmaker.
You don't need to kill characters in an anime to be good, but when you're constantly teasing it and it never happens, you're just building a distrust and a disinterest from your audience.
Who was the person who cordially invited the main...
Like, if you're not going to kill characters, then don't lead the entire quest around, we're going to kill a character, we're going to kill a character, and they never fucking do it. Case in point, Wuthering Waves' fucking 2.0 anniversary. Don't hype up a fucking, or Wuthering Waves' fucking 2.3 anniversary. Don't hype up a fucking gift if it's fucking coming, you know what I'm saying?
Main characters to Penacony. The revelation in the end was that in Penacony, this world in a dream, Misha and Gallagher were both not real. They were just machinations within the dream developed to assist the Watchmaker. This is a really interesting concept, but it's sort of different when you fill this huge moment with, again, horribly written AI slop dialogue and bad pacing. Not just that, them not being real is revealed, and then we're never told what happens to them after. By all means, with what we were informed of, these characters should be okay in the dream, but they stopped responding to messages and stopped interacting. It just made a lot of people feel like shit, and feel like they played that for nothing. So much emotional potential for these characters. Gallagher and Misha could have gotten some sort of flashback sequence, so we didn't have to read through bloated dialogue, but Xiaoju wouldn't do that. Xiaoju loves his paragraphs of dialogue that you can't skip. I love the concept of Penacony, just really bad execution.
100%. The idea of Penacony was so good.
Moving on to the epilogue. This was the update where Sunday and Tingyun's 5-star design were released. Now, I did notice irrelevant characters being implemented in the story for the main Penacony quest for the sake of advertisement. Yes, characters like Sparkle and Boot Hill really, we could have lived without them, but to give them grace, they integrated decently with the story, so they weren't entirely useless. But Tingyun, are you messing with me? Are you sure? There was no reason to have Tingyun of all people in Penacony. That was the most immersion-breaking thing I have ever experienced. Sunday and Tingyun next to each other? What incarnation?
You know what's crazy? I played through all of Penacony, and I don't even remember that. Like, let's be real. Okay, so what do I remember about Penacony? I remember crashing there. I remember Acheron's red text. I remember Acheron, like, slicing through a fucking dimension thing. I remember Aventurine almost dying, but never dying. I remember Misha and Gallagher disappearing. I remember Robin getting stabbed in the chest and dying, but not dying. I remember Sparkle Big Boom. Monkeys. Yeah, monkeys. It was 2.7. I watched the trailers of everything, right? Like, I watched the cutscenes of every single part of the game, right? So, like, if the cutscenes really aren't enough to get me interested, or you think the dialogue bloat is going to be enough to get me interested? Yeah, not really, man. Yeah, not really, right? Because everybody knows the best part of these games are the cutscenes. If those aren't getting me excited, yeah, no, fuck no.
For anyone who needs context,
now, what you remember about Wuwa? Okay, Wuwa for 2.0, well, actually, to be honest, Scar's part for Act 3 was amazing. The Avengers was amazing. Ji-Yon's story quest was I enjoyed that one quite a bit. Very sexually charged. Carlotta, everything with Carlotta involved was nice. Going to Renacida. I remember the big boss hand fight. That was really cool. Seeing the Echoes turn against the humans. Cartethia, wife bait. Shorekeeper, wife bait. A whole lot of Gooner bait. A whole lot of Gooner bait. Every woman wants to fuck me. Yep, I remember that.
Yin is from an entirely different planet, and she died on that planet. Why is this home on Penacony? Well, it's because she's a new banner character, and if you don't promote them in any way you can, well, that's just wasted time, ain't it, yep. Shoucher? Okay. So let's ignore the immersion breaking Yin and talk about the interesting path they decided to take with Sunday. After being run over by a train and defeated, literally, he was split in two. That is at least how I will interpret it. Sunday's controlling and order-driven demeanor as one, then the manifestation of his trauma and past self and dreams, made into another Sunday named 1 Week. Although this quest is heavily dented with Yin's random immersion-breaking experience, I will ignore that. The dialogue between the Sundays actually weren't horrible. It's the choice in the end that confuses.
I think Sunday's inane ramblings in the story quest, where you have to hear his reasons on why he's doing all this, can only be described with 2 words, and that's disorderly noise.
1 Week. This manifestation of Sunday, who represented his traumas in history, could have been used to strengthen or make clear plot points that involved him. But that didn't happen. And they just essentially killed 1 Week in the end by merging him with Sunday. Sunday didn't even change or have some crazy plot development. 1 Week, truly, in my opinion, was the better Sunday, and they should have either kept them split or never split them in the first place, because sacrificing characters such as 1 Week for Sunday, only for Sunday to say something along the lines of, I don't know where he starts and I begin, I don't even feel a difference, is not really encouraging. Yep. After Penacony, we return to Xianzhou. The new story is decent, it's filler, but, it's enjoyable enough. What really frustrates me, though, is how Dan Heng is handled. This is a character whose arc began in the Xianzhou storyline.
Dude, Dan Heng has no reason to still be in the story. He doesn't. He should have been replaced with a better character like Sparkle. Like, when he became Dan Heng and Bebe Lune, he should have been done with the story. He should have stayed in the Zhanzhou Luofu. But, like, there's no reason to be interested in him whatsoever anymore. Like, give us Sparkle, Give us give us Sampo. Give us somebody, because Dan Heng also as a character is boring as shit.
And it was revealed that he had been imprisoned in the shackling prison, this maximum...
Like, guys, I want you to think. When was the last time Dan Heng said something that actually fucking mattered? Or when was the last time March 7th said something that actually fucking mattered? Like, the characters when they talk, I listen, are probably Welt, Acheron, whoever the new banner unit is. You know what I mean? Like, so many other characters, like, they're just there to yap. It's fucking insane.
Security facility where he endured years of abuse and isolation. And now we return.
Oh, wait, I forgot an EN. He doesn't speak at all. That's right. My bad, guys.
To that same prison with Dan Heng present, and he only gets like 2 brief lines acknowledging his past trauma. That's it. No meaningful reflection, no emotional payoff, no real exploration.
Yep.
Like, bro, your ass got abused in here, and you're just saying shit like, wow, this place brings back memories. Yes, it does! But missed opportunity. Now, okay. We're gonna go to Emporius 3.0, the most recent major update and the news zone. Sunday is now introduced as one of the reoccurring characters, which I think is pretty cool, but lord, I could not take the amount of horrible dialogue there was at the beginning of this quest, and like, I'm gonna be honest, I gave up. I played 2 hours of the story, barely got anywhere, but okay, I'm gonna be real. We have another Dan Heng issue. Why are we always forgetting about Dan Heng? At the beginning of the story, Dan Heng's weapon, the Cloud Piercer, gets snapped in half by one of the characters in Emporius. Now, why do I say that? Is it
one of the most Dan Heng most important dialogue? Oh, keep yourself safe? Yep.
Because I hate how overpowered the Emporius characters are, which is A. B, the scene was unnecessary. Or C, missed potential with Dan Heng. The answer would be C. That sword was made by his best friend in a past life. Not just that, that best friend also happens to be the same man who's trying at every corner to fight him and stalk him. Honestly, I would have wanted at least a few statements about the Cloud Piercer from Dan Heng, reminding us what this sword was, reminding us of its importance, but he just he just acts like it's nothing. Like, his reaction is, oh.
Bro, do you remember how fucking bad the cutscene was for Dan Heng becoming Dan Heng in Bitter Lune? It's like, oh, there's a sword through him. Oh, now he's gone. Like, what?
Wow, it's broken. I use this all the time. I need a replacement now. Like, no
like,
shit.
what the fuck is this?
That, though. All I gotta say is that I can't continue the story. It was too difficult to get through. I have, like, one friend who loves the story, loves the Amphoria story, but even she can't sit down for too long playing it, okay?
It's nuts.
So, Xiaozhi Lao Shi, you step down, or anybody who's above Xiaozhi Lao Shi, get him fired. Peace.
Where's the part where she was going to blame the content creators? I was excited for that. What the hell? You baited me, man. That wasn't even in there. Anyways, great vid. Yeah, no, Xiaoji fucking sucks.